let's check our measurements at this point. I know that we had been shooting for 12.8 on the outside dimension. Let's just see how close we came. And actually it's, yeah, right at 12.8, 12.9. So actually, yeah, right at 12.8. So we're good on that. So we need a ring here that's 12.8. Let's go back to our ring mandrel here. And we'll actually use it to measure out this piece here. I've got kind of a bitter end on this piece here, so I think I'm going to go ahead and saw that flat and have a nice, this is going to be a butt join, so let's bring in the saw, and it looks like I'm using number 4/0 saw blade. That's a little too small for this heavy of a piece of wire, so let's take this out, put that back in the number 4/0 pack here, and I'm thinking a number 2 saw blade is going to be more appropriate for this. So let's bring those down, let's flip through our cards here, and we'll bring the number 2 pack up. If I can get it to separate, there we go. And I'll raise that up a little bit like so, clip it. Then I'll know what size saw blade I've actually got in the saw the next time I need a different saw blade, or if I need to know what saw blade is in the saw. Just look here and I can say, okay, the number 2 is the one that's sticking up, so it should be a number 2 saw blade. I have that hanging on a magnet off of my light, and let's check and make sure we're actually putting this in the right way so that it draws, so it cuts on the downstroke. And push against that, and we'll tension that up just a little bit. And then I've got some beeswax here on the side of my bench pin. I'm left-handed, so I do everything pretty much left-handed. I put beeswax on the left side of my bench pin here, and I just drag it right through. So we will actually take this, and I'll hold it in this way. I've been in a down position here. I want to present this side. Get a nice starting cut here. There we go. Now we're into the thicker metal. Cut this up close. I don't want to get all the way through it. There we go. Just drop through, and I haven't nicked the other side, so we're in good shape there. Okay, unloosen the blade. Take your tension off your blade. There's nothing worse than sitting here and hearing ting, knowing that your 50-cent saw blade just broke. So take the tension off of your blades always, and let's grab a number 2 bray file. And again, we'll just kind of clean up that end a little bit. And check that. Yeah, it's a little bit off. I need to take a little off of this side. Get that square. And I've safed the edge of this file. I've actually ground and polished this edge so that there's no teeth on there, so if I run I can actually run right up against another piece of metal and it doesn't dig into it. So that's what's called safing your files. And yeah, now we're square. Okay, now we can get back to our fitting here. And we were shooting for 1 3/8, which is right here. So let me bend this over just a little bit. We're really close there. Let me grab my awl and put a mark right across there. I'll make it a little bit fat there. And we can always clean that up later and get that. Now this one we're not going to be able to roll it out. It's too thick and it's too heavy of a wire, and if I were to roll it I would tend to flatten the roundness of the dome. I don't want to do that. So this one we're going to have to make sure that it actually fits up really nice and is well fitted to the actual bezel. So one of the things we can do is take the bezel, set it in there, and just see where's it land. And there we go. Yeah, it's actually right on. So taking good measurements is important, and then trying to stick to those measurements as close as you can is always a good policy. a little more water. And set that back out of the way. Grab our saw again. Put a little tension on it. A little beeswax helps. And now we can actually lay this piece in here so that we can actually see that. Now I'm going to bend that back just a little bit and get it out of the way. And then we're going to cut just on the other side of that line. There we go. Take the tension off the saw blade. Set our wire aside. And I can still see my line, so we're really close there. Let's take our number 2 beret file, bring it in, and again we'll clean up this edge so that it's actually right square with the line. Try and make those faces as square as we can. That's pretty close. And looking at it here, yeah, we're a little bit leaning just a little bit this way, so I'll lean my beret file out a little bit just to take that top edge off and square it a little bit more so that they'll actually come together and butt up and fit nicely. Solder does not like to flow across gaps, so if you can eliminate some of those gaps during your fitting, it's really going to help you later. So those are lining up really well. And now the line is pretty much gone. I made the line a little bit fat, so that's good to see. I still got a little bit of the line right here on this edge, so I'm just going to take that down a little bit. And that should do it. There we go. It's nice and square. And yeah, they're actually lining up very well. So now I need a couple of pliers here. We're going to persuade these a little bit. I'll take my half round and flats and actually start to introduce just a little bit of bend in here. And flip it over and do the same thing so that we're going to have just a little bit of tension here. Let's actually start here. Okay. Put that under and actually push it over. Now I wind up with something that's pretty close. And overbent that just a little bit. Let's see about straightening that back up just a little bit. And take a little bit of that tension off. I want those ends to be pretty close. I actually lined them up both this way and this way when I filed them, so I really want them to be pretty close to the final shape when I actually solder them together. Now we need to align the ends a little bit, and that's really close. It's a little bit high on this side, so let's tweak that down a little more. Got a little too much. Alright, perfect. Set our mandrel back out of the way. Some of our tools out of the way. Now let's go back to the soldering station here. And at this point, okay, I am refreshed. Well, let's carry on here. We were just about to solder up our ring here we had made to hold the bezel. Let's give that the treatment with heavy coating of flux and orient it so the parting line is in the bottom. Bring it up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, I like that. Let's check. Yeah, I've probably got enough alcohol in there to place some solder. Get that out of the way, and we'll do this one with hard solder as well. So make sure I open the right one here. Let's search around. This is a rather thick wire, and I really only have room for one good piece of coating of solder, so I'm going to go with a larger bit of solder here. And that should do it right there. Let's dip that in the alcohol and tease that up onto the joint. Got a flux in the way there. I like to get the flux away from the joint. It causes the pallium to shift around when it's heating. So there we go. That looks pretty good. And I think our number 2 tip will work just fine. Let's fire that up. Oh, we're not going to need that much gas. Maybe a little more. There we go. Let's try that. And let's bring that down a little bit. Okay, and again, going with hard solder, I'm going to darken the area a little bit so I can actually see what I'm doing. And let's run our gases up just a little bit. Okay, let's start teasing that with just the heat from the torch here. I'm actually, as you can see, I'm a couple 3 inches away from it. I want to bring this up nice and slow. I see it bubbling pretty rapidly there, so let's just continue to tease it a little bit until the flux starts to relax a little bit. Now we can move in with our torch and let's try and bring this whole thing up to temperature all at once. Okay, and now we can concentrate on the joint. And there it is. It flowed very nicely. Saw that it got sucked down into the joint through capillary action pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's take that off of the holder here. And we'll put that in the pickle here. We'll let that pickle for a minute. Put everything away here. And our light back over. Put our soldering station away for a moment. We're going to have to do some more ciphering here, some layout. So while that ring is in the pickle, getting cleaned up, I need to determine the length between here and here. We're actually going to lay 2 pieces of this half round next to each other, and I need to bend them out away from each other so they only solder across the part that's going to be the shank. If we look at our example ring here, we can see that we're actually well up over the halfway point. We're up closer. There's probably a quarter of the shank is actually taken up by the setting itself. So we'll need to stop below that point, and if we go to that point, we can see on either side there, it's there and there. It's actually, just a little less than half. So let's take a look at our ring mandrel here, and we'll do some layout. Actually, I'm going to use my other ring mandrel. It's a little better suited for this particular layout operation. It's actually for stones that have a culet sticking down into the finger hole. But in this case, I want to lay it out and just see what is going to actually work best for this stone. I'm not going for any particular size. I figure a 9 or a 10 would be suitable. Let's take a look here and see where I'm at. Oh yeah, 9's all the way up here. That's actually, that's not too bad. Let's go down here to an 8. If we go down to an 8, you know, we're crowding it a little bit. That's not going to leave a lot of room for the loops that are on either side. But yeah, it looks like right in there. So around 9. Size 9 would probably work well. So we'll shoot for a size 9. Okay, then for a size 9, we can go back here to our regular mandrel, and let's grab our tape here, It's actually in millimeters as well. So I'll start on 10 millimeter. Let's lay that around. Come up here, and yeah, so that's, we'll lay it so it's right across the 9 there. And if we look here, we can see that 10 actually lines up really well with 63. So 63 millimeters is the total. So we're going to want a little over half. Half of 63 is 31 and a half. So let's add just a couple of those, a few millimeters each side. 63 or 61 and a half. Let's add 3 millimeters on each side. That'll be 6. So 67 and a half millimeters is going to be our distance between here and here. So let's mark that up. Put this away. Get it out of the way. Bring in the bench pin, and we're going to want quite a bit sticking off the end here because we've still got some work that we've got to do as far as the twisting and then the edge bending. So we'll actually leave that much hanging out. So we'll put our first mark there. Then from there, I think I said it was 67 and a half. So let's bring this in, try to flatten that a little bit, so pretty close to where we want it to be. Bring that in, and so we'll go 67. Oh, wait. Nope, that's wrong. 31 and a half is half of 63 plus 6 is 37 and a half. So let's start again. I about went the whole distance. Let's go 37 and a half. And then I left, it looks like 45 millimeters hanging off the end. So let's clean that off. That's no good. If you get it wet again, you can wipe it right off. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to add 45 millimeters to this side for our overhang. So there we go. Then we'll go to that line. Again, we'll mark it 45. And from 45, we will do our center distance, which was 37 and a half. So let's go there. Flatten that a little bit. And 37 and a half. And we want to have our overhang on the end here, which is 45. Okay. Got it marked up. Let's go ahead and cut it in half here. Put our end down here. This is our end piece here. Put those in the diagonal cutters here. Get that out of the way. And then where is the center? Okay, that was the one I mismarked. This is the center. That's 45, 45, 37 and a half, 45, 45, 37 and a half, 45. So this is where I want to cut to give us our two pieces. Okay, got that done. Now, we need to put a little bit of a bend in here. While we still got this long, I'm going to go ahead and try to bend this a little bit. It bends nice and easy on edge while it's nice and long. You get into shorter pieces and it's not so easy. So let's go with the straight edge on our ruler here. Hold that up to the light and I can see, yeah, that's pretty close. So it's pretty close across the middle there. Let's go ahead and do this one as well. I've got a little bit of a curl this way, so I need to edge set it just a little bit back this way. Let's bring it down. And if I hold it, I can actually start to bend it a little bit. Okay, that's getting closer. Still humped up a little bit in the middle. Let's try and get it flat. So when we're doing our edge setting, it's actually not introducing more curve into it. Okay, that's pretty close. And by holding it here and pulling on the ends, we're edge setting it so that we're taking the curl out. I've got a little bit of a curve this way. I'm trying to take that out and move this middle part this way. So let's tease that a little bit. We'll work down here to the middle. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. Let's set that edge against the against here. Still got a little bit of a curve, so let's try to flatten that out just a little bit. That's pretty close. Okay, hold that up to the light and that laid in there. And I've still got a little bit of a curve right here on this edge, so let's tease that a little bit. See if we can get that squared. And yep, that did it. Okay, so I've got this edge and this edge. And let's go ahead and take this curve out here, kind of tease that a little bit. This is when it's nice to be working with fully annealed wire. Okay, let's try the other end. Get that laying flat. If we look along it here, I've got just a little bit of a curve here. That's good. That's good. A little bit out there. And it's pretty flat. Now I do have a little bit of a twist in there, so we need to take some twist out. So I'll grab up a couple of pairs of pliers here. I'll hold it in this end, sight down it, grab this edge, and introduce a little counter twist to it. There we go. Okay, that's flat. I think I'm going to probably have curve in the next one as well, which is not unusual. Okay, that's pretty much flat. You can see it lays nicely on the bench pin there. So let's do the same thing with this side. Flatten it out a little bit. Just a little bit there. Okay. And yeah, this has a little bit of twist in it as well, so let's grab it here, and get down to the ends here, and introduce that counter twist all the way across. A little bit more, and that's pretty good. Okay, should be done with the pliers. Just a little bit there. Okay, now I'm going to need to actually grab this here and bend this in that way, right at this point. Now, I don't want to do a sharp bend. I want it to be a little bit of a curve. So what I'm going to do is take my parallel jaw pliers, and I'm going to move up about 3 millimeters or so past the line there, so that we introduce that curve in that area. Sorry if my hand's in the way, you'll just have to take my word for it. It's 3 millimeters. Then I hold it right at the line and introduce a little bit of twist. And there we go. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on this side. This time we'll go in the opposite direction. Pin that down at the line with my thumb there, and introduce that curve. So here we go. We've got this span is actually curved out now, and you may have to do a little edge setting here on this side to make sure that everything's nice and flat and that these two pieces lay up next to each other well. And then we'll do the same thing here. You can see I've already got a curve in the wire going this way, so we'll just go with that. I'll actually bend this towards me. Put that there. We'll get a little closer, a little more edge set. There we go. Then this one will actually bend up the other way. Wait just a little more. There we go. A little bit more. Perfect. Okay. And edge set that. There. And there we go. So let's check these for fit next to each other and see how well they lay. See, I've got a little open spot here, so I've got to do a little more edge setting on these now that I've got to that point. Let's lay this on here. Yeah, it's a little bit high right in the middle. So let's set it here and actually lay that a little bit in the middle. So lay that down flat. Bend those edges back a little bit more until it lays nice and flat against. There we go. Okay. So that's flat. Let's check this other one. See what it's doing. Yeah, it's rocking around a little bit too. So while I was bending these edges up, the center got bent out a little bit. So it's curved this way now. So let's take a little bit of that edge setting back out. I'll put here with my thumbs and push down on the out on the ends here. And kind of bring that edge set back. That's pretty close. It's still got just a slight curve into it, so let's start here in the middle. Ease that back a little bit. Still a little more. So you just fiddle with it until you get it where it needs to be. Yeah, it looks like this edge is a little bit more, so let's concentrate a little bit on that side. See if we can get that to. There we go, nice and square now. Now let's lay them up next to each other and just see how well they actually fit. There we go. We've got a nice edge set. They're right up next to each other. That'll fill up nicely with some solder. We'll go with that. Alright. Let's set things out of the way here. With that, let's go with the soldering station again. And this time we're going to do something a little bit different. You know, actually, I think I'm going to go a different way here. I'm going to work with my Charoite pad. I usually do my annealing and everything on this side, and I save this side because it's got a nice flat piece here. You can see I've done some work on it in the past through the discoloration. You can see that, but generally I save this side for operations just like this, where I need a nice flat piece where I can lay elements like this right up next to each other. So we'll go with that. And in this case, I don't need any, I don't need to build a kiln or anything like that. We're going to use a nice big bushy flame. We're going to use hard solder, and we're just going to heat this whole thing up and melt pallions of solder right down in the middle there. So let's go ahead and get this set up. Alright, in this instance, these pieces are too big to put into my flux bottle here, so let's drag out the brush here. Hold these pieces and we'll just paint on a nice heavy coating of flux. Alright, that's good. Okay, happy with that. Put those up next to each other, line them up, and there we go. Knock the flux off of the brush. Let's get that out of the way. And now we can light the any remaining alcohol. And there we go. Okay, let's take a look here. I'm actually going to need to push these together a little bit. And let's line up the marks that I have on here. I can see my marks here, and they were misaligned by a good 3 or 4 millimeters. So let's try and line those up good. Okay, that's good. And let's get out some pallions of hard solder here. So we need some fairly large pieces of pallium. There's one. That's good. Dig around a little bit here. There's another good piece. And I'll probably need 5 or 6 pieces here, so let's see what we can find. There's a nugget. Looks like I'm just about due to cut up some more pallions of solder sometime. I think we'll have enough to get through this project. This one. It was actually attached to a smaller one. Don't need that, so we'll put that back. Let's see, and that's probably enough pieces right there. Let's go about positioning these. Kind of want to position them so they're touching both pieces. So these larger pieces, it's good to actually have them big enough they can span the distance there. Out there. Don't want it to slide in between or it might push them apart. So let's tease them down in there. Together. Just lay them on top here. Okay, like that. Everything's lined up well. I think we're in good shape. Let's see if our efforts at fitting these tightly together have actually paid off. Let's see the surface move just a little bit. Pretty close there. I think we've done it. That off of there while it's still warm. Oh, and we didn't get it. Alright, we will start over. Let's go ahead and pickle this, clean it up, and we'll do it again.